I've traced alluvial gold along the whole course of the river. And though it may take some finding, I feel sure there's a reef round here, somewhere near the source.
I hope you're right. After all, I've agreed to put up £2,000 for this expedition of yours.
It's a good investment. If we can strike the right spot, we've got a bigger proposition than any gold find this century.
And if we don't?
Well, you lose £2,000. No more, no less.
But if we do, you may make $1 million.
That's as it should be. I want you to know that I'm going into this with my eyes open.
We've all got to have our eyes open. And now, about the banking in Venezuela.
There'll be £1,000 waiting for you when you get there, and instructions that you may draw up to 2,000. You'll then have had the amount that you asked for, and that's as far as I'm prepared to go.
All right. Then it's agreed. If we strike gold, we four are in an equal share.
That's the bargain.
We'll strike all right. I'm due for a break.
So we all.
I'm counting on you.
And we're counting on you.
Miss Thurston and her father are waiting, sir. Good. We'll be right in. We might as well break up anyhow. You've got to have enough time to get to the station. Shall we join the others? Yes. I've asked them here to drink to our adventure. After all, Joan's got a certain interest in it, hasn't she, Larry? There you are. Thanks.
This one for the doctor and we all.
Why don't you come? No, I can't.
Yeah.
All right, doctor.
Yes. Thank you. Well, I suppose this is about the last champagne we shall see
Until you strike. I'm not organizing this as a luxury cruise.
Well, I think we ought to drink to the health of the man who's made this trip possible.
Yes.
After all, he's shown his faith in us in the most practical way, to the tune of £2,000.
Yeah. And all I can say is I think he's backed the right horses.
Gentlemen, Mr. Martin Crete.
Martin.
I'd like to return your toast, Tubby. Here's to the trip. And may none of us have anything to regret when it's all over.
Yeah. Well, I've got something to say to Joan before it begins, so if you'll excuse us.
Certainly. Fill up your glasses.
Highly help.
Sounds a good
You'll
idea.
have some, will you?
What about you, doctor?
No more thanks.
All right.
We shall have a lot to thank Martin for.
Should I thank him for separating us?
He's making it possible for us to be together always.
I wonder why he's doing this. He doesn't seem too hopeful of the results. Joan, I want you to be a little careful of Martin.
Aren't you being rather ungenerous?
No, I've got a very good reason.
What?
Jealousy.
Of him?
Of anyone.
Sorry, Larry. Duty called. Car will wait, but the train won't.
All right. Well,
Goodbye. Oh, Larry, I wish I hadn't come here.
why?
It's always a mistake to see people off.
Oh, no, it isn't. Definitely not. Shall we go in?
No. I'd rather say goodbye to you here. Then you can just walk away.
All right. Goodbye, darling.
Look out for fever, Mark. I told you about those injections.
No, you and your injections. But seriously, Martin, we do appreciate all you've done for us.
We're off, are we? Sorry to have kept you waiting.
Where's Joan?
Oh, she isn't very keen on farewells. She sends her love to both of you and hopes you'll understand.
Of course we understand.
Well, goodbye, sir.
Goodbye, Larry, and good luck.
Thanks. Au revoir, Martin.
Not goodbye, I hope.
Don't worry, we're coming back covered in gold dust and glory.
Rather, and cheerio till then.
Goodbye, Doctor. I'm going down to the car with you.
Good luck, boys.
Martin, it's splendid. Larry must have known just what he was doing.
It looks like it.
I suppose you'll be going out at once.
Yes, we shall have to leave almost immediately.
We?
Listen, Doctor. I don't intend to go on a dangerous trip like this without taking the proper medical precautions.
Naturally. I'll give you injections and make you up a medical chest.
That's not enough. I want someone with me. I'm not going to run the risk of falling into the hands of some half-caste locum. You're coming along.
But, Martin, that's impossible. I've got to...
All you've got is a small practice and a lot of debt.
That's not the point.
Oh, yes, it is. I know the state of your finances, Doctor. I'm one of your principal creditors. And you must admit that I've never pressed you.
Oh, I appreciate that.
And here you have a real opportunity of paying me back. You're coming along as my medical advisor. I'll pay all your expenses, and when we come back, your debt will be discharged.
But, Martin...
Are there no buts? You know very well you can leave things here in charge of Cunningham. You've nothing to worry about until you get back. Why, you could leave tomorrow if you wanted to.
It's not that I don't want to go. But you don't need a doctor.
Well, that's for me to decide.
And I can't leave Joan.
Of course not. She'll come with us. The trip will be quite a pleasure cruise. you mustn't expect too much from Venezuela. It's hardly a beauty spot, you know.
If I ever come back here, it's going to be in a private train, covered with plush and cigar smoke and cracked ice. As for the heavy artillery, I never want to see that again.
Oh, I want to see mine again. I'm going to build a little museum for my children, just to show them what their father had to go through to get his money.
All you had to go through was a hole in the ground.
If I hadn't fallen into that swamp, you'd have never have found the causeway to our beloved Shambaziri. I had my uses, you know.
You're quite right, Tubby. If we hadn't stopped to pull you out, we might have missed it altogether.
If you hadn't stopped to pull me out, you'd have missed me altogether, which would have been a downside worse.
Not at all, Tubby. We should probably have found the field ourselves, and then we should only have had to split 3 ways.
By the way, you fellows, about that causeway. That's the one thing I don't want Martin to know about.
Good Lord, why not?
We'll give him a plan of the field, of course. But I suggest that we keep that causeway to ourselves for the present.
Oh, look here, we must play the game. We are gentlemen.
You and Mark are. I'm not so sure about myself.
Hang it all, Larry, isn't that a bit thick? After all, Martin's always treated us pretty squarely. And look what he's done for you. Carted your young woman and her father all the way from London just to make things sweeter for you.
I've heard about these fields for years.
Everyone has heard of them, but no one took them seriously. That was our luck. You remember that night we left this hotel for the railhead? And everyone was so cocksure that the field was in Katanga and not in Angola at all. And now we've found it. Gosh, I can hardly let myself think about it.
I'm going to call my estate in Cornwall, Angola.
Have you got an estate in Cornwall, Tubby?
No, but I shall have. Bunny and the kids like it down there.
I'm going to have a place at Newmarket. And a string of horses, just a small string.
And lose all your money.
My dear fellow, it'd be impossible to lose all the money we're going to make. Suddenly, where are you and Joan going to settle, Larry? Somewhere in the north, I hope. Then we can all visit each other and see England at the same time.
Oh. Well, I'm not counting my golden eggs until Martin lays them.
There he goes again. You remember, Mark, he wouldn't even make whoopee about the field until he was sure there was gold in it. Don't know what else there could have been.
Oh, shut up, Tubby.
Let's leave the old man alone. He's all het up and excited at the idea of seeing his girlfriend after 12 months.
A letter from Mr. Dean. Ah, good. Now bring us some of that stuff you call champagne.
Oh, there wasn't that nasty-looking envelope.
Oh, just a neat little contract drawn up for Martin to sign just as soon as we get to Venezuela.
We've got a contract.
Oh, no, we haven't.
Well, that letter he wrote.
Oh, it's full of pious hopes.
Damn it, man, I got it stamped at Somerset House.
My dear Tubby, if you took a prescription for seedless powder to Somerset House, they'd stamp it and be glad to take your money.
Really? But all the same.
I think Larry's right. Do you know anything about mining laws in Portuguese West Africa, Tubby?
Not a thing, old boy.
No, you wouldn't. Well, the concession we've got is to find the field, not working. Of course, there'll be no difficulty in getting a working concession. But we've got to prove ownership first. That's what you mean, isn't it, Larry?
That's what I mean.
Come on, then, let's forget it. Here we are home, or practically home.
Ah, and here comes the champagne. Don't put it down, give it to me.
Your auto machine is here, Mr. Dean.
Good, well, get some of that small stuff down in the car at once.
Excellent, sir.
I don't know what's excellent about it, unless he's expecting a big tip.
Well, for once, he's going to get one. Come on, Tubby, get a couple of glasses, make yourself useful.
Yes, and make it 3 unless you turn total. Come on, look out.
You fellas have got me worried.
Oh, come on, don't get like that, Tubby.
Well, you shouldn't have said anything.
Perhaps not, never mind.
There you are, old boy.
We'll have a drink and forget.
There you are.
Now then, to ourselves.
To us.
Ourselves.
Us.
Hail Caesar!
Hello, Tubby! What's up there, Martin? Come on inside, all of you. Thank you very much, Larry. It's the most unpleasant drive I've ever had.
Joan, you mustn't stay here in the sun. Larry, I think you've had about enough of it.
Yes, I have.
Come on in, then.
Well, Martin, if you're thinking of offering us a drink, don't waste your breath. We'll have one.
I can't think why you didn't drive over at night or in the dawn when it was cooler.
How many tropical diseases have you contracted, Tubby?
Only 2, hope and drink.
Oh, I prescribed for the second, anyhow.
Good.
Come on now.
Well, yes. I've been thinking about you much more than you have about me. But then, you see, London isn't the same as the jungle.
Oh, there you are. You've just missed hearing Tubby's exciting story. At least the most of it.
Sorry, I'd like to hear it.
I'll begin it again if you like.
Please don't, Tubby. We must eat some time, you know.
How far had he got?
We were just about getting to the goal.
Sounds thrilling.
It was, my dear. Seems that Tubby was quite the hero of this expedition.
Ah, but he was telling the story.
What I mean, in fact, if he hadn't fallen into the swamps above the falls, you might never have found that causeway.
So that was the story he was telling you.
Yeah, I thought it might amuse them.
I hope it did. Otherwise, the story wouldn't have much point.
I thought it had, rather a lot.
Well, the whole thing sounds incredible. It is incredible, but it has the advantage of being true. I suppose you're quite sure it is gold. Oh, it's gold, all right.
Absolutely genuine 22-carat hallmark gold. We brought back a hundredweight of it. Could have been a ton. About 8,000 pounds worth. Do you realize, Martin, that we've brought back 4 times as much gold as this expedition cost?
Yes, and rather more than 10 times the amount you're allowed to bring back without a license.
Is that the law?
You may prospect, but you may not mine. 8,000 pounds worth of gold is mining.
Pretty well up in the law, aren't you, Martin?
Pretty well. I never guess. I didn't make my money by guessing. I made it by my knowledge of facts and how to use them. Now, where is this stuff?
At the moment, it's locked in a strong box. But before we go any further, I think it would be a good idea if we had just a little business talk.
But surely there's no hurry. We can talk tomorrow. You've just returned from a tiring journey.
Our tiring journey was over long before this.
Oh, let's wait.
I'd rather get the matter settled.
Well, don't mind us. Joan and I will see that your things are all right.
Thanks.
It's all rather unnecessary, this rush.
I'm sorry, but there's no time like the present.
I expect Larry wants to get things settled so that he can spend the rest of the time talking to you.
Come along, Joan, dear.
Well, now that you've wrecked our little party, what next?
Well, I'm for a drink. Anybody joining me?
Oh, I think I could just choke one down. I thought you didn't drink, Martin.
Only on special occasions, and this is one.
Well, I suppose you ought to get down to business. I move Martin into the chair. Come on, Larry.
Right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Shall I go ahead, Martin?
Yes, do.
Well, this is just a rough account of the money we spent. I'll give you an itemized account later. There's about £300 in the bank here that we haven't drawn.
Yes, I know. As a matter of fact, the bank sent me a note every month.
Now, there are 1 or 2 formalities.
You mean about filing the papers? Well, I've looked into that.
Yes, I thought you probably had.
Now, look here, you fellows. You seem to have located a field which is a pretty good property.
That's putting it a bit mildly.
It's usually called being conservative.
There's one thing you can be absolutely certain about. I'm going to do the right thing by you. Honor and glory are all very well, but in these days we work for cash, pounds, shillings, and pence.
We won't argue about the shillings and pence.
Well, I hope we won't argue about the pound.
Well, this will make either unnecessary. We've come to the point when gentlemen's agreements, having served their term, can now be legalized. I think you'll find this perfectly clear and straightforward. Well?
My dear Larry, you surely don't expect me to sign this, do you?
What is it?
It's the contract we should have signed before we left England. It sets out in very plain terms that this is a joint venture and that we 4 are equal partners in this field. It also places us under an obligation to repay Martin all the money spent in exploration.
Well, that's all right. We've got the gold here to pay for it now.
Of course, that was the original arrangement. There isn't anything different in there, is there?
No, nothing.
But Martin said he couldn't sign it.
That's what it sounded like.
That's what it meant. You certainly don't expect me to sign this document, do you? You've got a wholly wrong impression of my intentions.
I haven't. They have.
If you'll refer to my letter to Mr. Storman.
Oh, call him Tubby. It sounds as though we were still friends.
If you'll refer to that, you'll see exactly what I agreed to do. I agreed to advance the money for this expedition and to remunerate the members of it by regular monthly payments. There is no reference in that letter to any division of the property if it were found, and I defy you to show me any document in which I even refer to such a distribution.
Are you going to Welsh?
Hold on, Tubby.
You all seem very much surprised. I don't see why. I've risked several thousands of pounds over this expedition.
And we risked our lives, that's all.
But I never pretended to be giving you a holiday. I said I'd treat you fairly, and I shall. If you prove the mine, I don't object to your each taking a quarter share of the gold you've brought away. That's £2,000 apiece. Pretty good year's wage.
You aren't being serious, are you?
Of course he's serious. That estate of yours, Tubby, is becoming a semi-detached villa now.
Oh, shut up, Larry. Good heavens, Martin. To think I stood up for you. 12 months of hell, and now you want to swindle us out of our share. All right, then try it. And if you do, I'll settle with you, you damn dirty double-crossing
Steady,
swine.
old man. I'll talk to Martin. He and I speak the same language.
Oh, no, we don't. If you think I'm going to stay here to be insulted...
You're going to stay here until you put your signature to that paper.
Don't be a damned fool, Larry.
Would you like to know what's coming to you if you don't?
Is that intended to be a threat?
It is.
Well, I'm not impressed. The gold field belongs to me. I took the risks, and I'm taking the winnings. If you think you've got any sort of claim, well, bring an action. Here, London, Lisbon, wherever you like. Do anything you like. I won't give another penny to the whole screaming lot of them.
You'll not get away with this.
Just a minute. We'll find a better way than that.
Here, what are you doing?
It's going to be a fight. And the weapons won't be made of paper.
Water. And not even cool at that.
What else can you expect in this weather?
Joseph said they had a storm in the hills last night. Do you think we'll get it here?
Not a hope.
Wish we could. Clear the air a bit.
It'll take a little more than a thunderstorm to clear this atmosphere.
If only we could get at Martin.
What's the use? He's playing sick, and he'll continue to play sick until he decides to talk. Any news?
Yes, I've got some news.
Good.
Not very. I know why Martin won't see us.
The reason why Martin won't see us is he won't talk, that's all.
Oh, no, it isn't. He's leaving for Luanda tomorrow and traveling at dawn to avoid the heat.
How do you know?
I intercepted the telegram. The native boy let me read it.
Why shouldn't he go to Luanda if he wants to?
He's not coming back.
You mean he's going to walk out on us?
In another 18 hours, we should be stranded.
But he can't do that.
I've given up everything for this trip. I've pawned my house, pawned everything I've got. And if Martin thinks he's going to send me back home with absolutely nothing to start all over again, he's mistaken.
You're the one who's mistaken this time, Tubby. You'll be lucky if you get home at all.
This isn't a joke, Larry.
I suppose you fellows think that I'm partly responsible for all this.
Oh, don't be an ass.
You think I put his back up? Well, maybe you're right.
What are we going to do?
Well, I'm going to find out exactly how much of this is due to sheer greed and how much to something else.
So, Larry, shouldn't you have knocked?
I should have, but I didn't.
Well, what do you want?
Just a few words with you before you leave for Luanda.
What's that?
I read your telegram.
What are you driving at?
Just this. Your row's with me. There's no reason why the other two should suffer.
My row's with no one. Personalities don't come into it.
Oh, yes, they do. Look here. I'm prepared to drop everything and clear out. I'm asking you to give them their share of the mine. That leaves you with exactly half. Twice as much as you're entitled to.
You can't bluff me. Which of you thought of it? You? Half share split among three. Better than nothing, eh?
Leave me out of it. Are you going to give them their share?
No.
You are a swine.
About the gold which you brought back. I want that deposited in my name. Then I'll see that you get your shares. If it's not in the bank within 48 hours, I'll have you all arrested. You understand?
Perfectly. I called you a swine just now. Well, I apologize. To all the other swine.
Read that from Tubby's wife.
That's all right, Tubby. Cable, yes.
How can I with Martin walking out on us?
Martin isn't walking anywhere.
How are you going to stop him?
I'm going to kill him. Well, what would you do if a highly respectable financier with a power to mess up other people's lives like Martin went frantic and started shooting people and you couldn't arrest him?
But Martin isn't mad.
He's just as dangerous. By Jove, Larry's right. If ever a man deserved to go, he does. You know what that cable means? I'd stop at nothing.
We've done it before. Remember those fellows who got sleeping sickness? They went mad. Well, we didn't hesitate to shoot them.
I'd forgotten those carriers. I didn't think it was possible.
If we hadn't put them out, they would have put us out. And it's the same here with Martin. Either he goes or we go. And I'm going to make sure that it's him.
Oh, no, you don't. It's my job. I've got most to gain by it.
And you've got most to lose. If you did it, Tubby, I wouldn't touch a penny of that money. You've both got other people to consider. I haven't. Sorry to disappoint you, but I'm the one to do any shooting.
Oh, no. You two fellows are going to stay out of this. You may both think you've got excellent reasons for wanting to finish off Crete, and so you have. But this is my little affair, and I'm not going to let either of you take any risks for me.
It isn't your affair. It's our affair.
All right. If you both mean what you say,
You needn't ask me that.
Nor me.
none of us will kill him.
What do you mean?
None of us and all of us. We'll draw for it.
All right. Suits me.
No, not that way. We mustn't know who did it. We'll use cards. We'll draw for a card. Say, the ace of spades.
That's my lucky card.
I'll deal, and the one who draws the ace will use his own discretion. He won't tell anyone he's drawn it, and he won't show by movement, look, or word that he's drawn it, either at the time of drawing or after.
No, you much better let me do it.
Oh, no, that's been decided already. Now, do you agree?
I do.
If it should come to a showdown, the two who didn't draw the ace will say nothing. They'll completely forget the conversation. But they'll stand by the other as best they can. Any complaints?
None?
No, but I hope.
Quite so. And so do I. Rather a bit more than either of you. Now, I'll get the cards. Where's that pack we were using last night?
There's a pack on the veranda.
I'll get it.
Hello, Larry.
Hello, Doctor.
Want me to make a call?
Well, not just now. As a matter of fact, I was just looking for a pack of cards. We're just going to draw to see who's going to buy the next bottle of whiskey.
Well, you can have these if you like.
Oh, no, please.
Yes, it doesn't matter a bit. It wasn't coming out very well. It's a green pack, by the way. That's supposed to be unlucky, but that won't worry you.
No, it won't worry me.
There you are, then.
Thanks. Oh, by the way, did Joan tell you that Martin was shouting for you?
Oh, I know. He wants me to examine him.
Well, if you're going to see him, you better see him now, before he's recovered.
Poor Martin. Well, boys, I wish you luck with your draw. Or bad luck, if you prefer it.
You didn't tell him?
Of course not. I told him we were drawing to see who's going to buy the next bottle of whiskey. Cut mark. Well, here goes. Well, that's that.
Give me the cards.
Just to make things more difficult.
See you later, boys.
I'm just going to get another slice.
Stay there, my dear.
What's up?
He's dead. Tubby, you better phone for the police.
What is it?
He must have been killed instantly. The shot was fired from a very close range.
Accident.
I'm afraid not.
Joan, this is no place for you. Tubby, get her out of here. I'm going to lock this room.
No, please.
All right, my dear, I'll be there.
You better get some brandy, Mark. Any theories, Doctor?
Not yet.
Martin committed suicide.
How do you know?
Because it's got to be suicide. If you see what I mean. Come on.
What I don't understand is...
Nobody can understand anything yet. So we won't worry ourselves by making guesses. All we know is that Martin's dead. And that the bullet in the head killed him.
What makes you think it was suicide?
Oh, it's the obvious conclusion.
It isn't obvious to
What
me.
reason had he?
We don't know. It really doesn't concern us. But the suicide theory is the only alternative to supposing one of us did it.
But that's absurd.
The police won't think it's absurd. That's why we've all got to give them a very clear account of ourselves. And especially you, Tubby. If you tell your story in your usual florid style, they'll hang you at once just to save time.
Oh, my story's simple enough. I was out in the garden and I heard the shot. I couldn't sleep. I'd been worrying.
What about?
Well, about the mine. Good heavens, Larry, haven't we all been worrying after the way Martin treated us?
Just what I expected. Now listen, Tubby. If you don't want all kinds of trouble with the police, you'll just answer yes or no to whatever questions they ask you and leave it at that.
Well, I couldn't have answered your questions with yes or no.
You could have done, without giving the police every excuse for suspecting one of us three.
Well, I didn't mean to.
I know that. You couldn't have just said you were in the garden, could you? No, you would have to tell them that you were worried because Martin had done you a dirty trick over the mine. And not only that, but that Mark and I were worried too. In fact, you would have given them every excuse for believing that one of us three shot Martin out of revenge.
Larry, that's not true, is it?
That's for the police to decide. Tubby, you stick to monosyllables. Beyond that, you're not safe.
Safe? Tubby has nothing to be afraid of?
Well, perhaps he's not afraid of being arrested and charged with murder. Well, I am. And I don't suppose Mark fancies it either.
Well, I'm going to tell them the truth.
Now, listen. Everybody here knows that we three and Martin are interested in the Zambaziri mine. What they haven't heard is that we're at loggerheads over it. I think it's up to all of us to see that they don't find out. And if we're all agreed on that, I'll send for the police.
Well, I don't like the look of it.
I don't suppose any of us do, but that doesn't help much.
Well, you can rely on me.
Larry, it's dangerous.
Go on, call them.
I'm not asking you to tell lies. We've got to tell the truth. But not all of it. What's that?
Fernandez. It's the police.
What the devil? Good evening. I'm Inspector Aguilla. Your houseboy come to the police headquarters and say there's something wrong at the bungalow. So come at once.
Yes, good evening, Inspector. As a matter of fact, we were just going to phone you. I'm afraid there's been an accident.
A serious accident?
Our host, Mr. Martin Crete, who rented this bungalow, has been found shot.
And is dead?
Perhaps you'd better come with me.
Certainly.
Larry, you have the key. This is Mr. Larry Dean, Inspector, a friend of Mr. Crete's. And that is Mr. Storman, and Mr. Elliot, and that is my daughter.
Oh, charmed.
My name is Thurston, Dr. Thurston.
Yes, I heard you were at the bungalow, Doctor. And now, if your friends will excuse us.
Certainly.
Fernandez.
Did you hear the shot?
Yes,
Where were you?
I was in my room, at the end of the passage.
And you came here at once.
No.
Why not?
Well, I was writing letters. I thought it might be somebody having a shot at a wild dog. Then I heard my daughter scream.
Oh, so you were not the first on the scene.
No, my daughter was here almost immediately after the shot.
I wonder if I might have a word with Miss Thurston.
Here?
Please.
Oh, but surely somewhere else.
I will try and make it as little distressing as possible.
Oh, very well.
Fernandez, you will take notes?
Si, senor.
Bring that screen here.
The inspector wants to see you, dear.
In there?
Yes. Just for a moment. Can you face it?
Yes, I'm all right.
I'm sorry to trouble you, Miss Thurston, but
Quite understand.
if you would please sit down. Now, first of all, Miss Thurston, where were you when you heard the shot?
In my room.
Where is that?
Across the corridor.
And you came directly here?
Yes.
Did you see anyone in the corridor?
No one.
Nor in this room?
Only Martin.
Was the room dark?
No. The lights were on. And he... Oh, it was horrible.
Oh, it's all right, Miss Thurston. It's all right. Have you ever seen this gun before?
Yes. It's mine.
Yours?
Martin took it away from me.
Why was that?
He said it was dangerous.
Oh, someone might get hurt.
Yes. Someone.
You were very friendly with Mr. Creed.
Yes.
Who came in the room after you?
Father. Then Mark. That's Miss Elliot.
Do you remember where Miss Thurston and her father were standing when you entered the room?
Dr. Thurston was bending over the body. Miss Thurston was standing by the desk. She's pretty badly shaken.
Where were you when you heard the shot?
I was in bed.
About what time was that?
I should say about 10 o'clock.
A little over half hour ago. Why didn't you telephone the police at once?
Well, it all happened so suddenly. I don't know.
Where is your room?
On the other side of the bungalow.
Who else is on that side?
Mr. Dean and Mr. Storman. He and I share a room.
Oh, was he with you?
No, he was out somewhere.
Well, I was walking about the garden. It was very hot.
What's that got to do with it?
Well, I couldn't sleep.
I should have thought it was rather early for that anyway.
Yes, but I was tired.
Oh, you were tired, but you could not sleep, eh, Mr. Storman?
Yes.
Perhaps you can tell us which of your party was the most familiar with Mr. Creed.
Well, Larry, I suppose, or perhaps Joan.
That is Miss Thurston?
Yes.
She was engaged to him?
Oh, Lord, no. She was engaged to Larry.
For what reason had you been into town?
Try these. Have one?
No, thank you, please. Then you were about 50 yards away from the bungalow when you heard the shot.
Or perhaps a little more.
You were very familiar with Mr. Creed.
Quite.
An old friend.
I'd known him for a good many years.
Would you recognize his handwriting?
Yes,
Is that it?
I think so. It's impossible to be sure. There's so little of it.
Thank you. Have you ever seen this before?
Yes. When I came in after the shot.
I mean before that.
No, I don't think so.
Would it surprise you to hear that it belonged to Miss Thurston?
You infer that it was Miss Thurston who...
Oh, so you think it was murder?
Oh, no, I don't think anything. It's for the authorities to do the thinking.
As you say, Mr. Dean, it is for the authorities to do the thinking. I regret I must ask you all to consider yourselves under arrest. One of your party has been shot, and as I'm unable to find it is accident, I must leave it to higher authorities to decide whether Mr. Creed's death is suicide or murder.
Surely that's unnecessary.
Dr. Thurston, I would infinitely rather say you were all at liberty to come and go as you please, but in the circumstances, quite impossible.
You mean that we're going to be locked up?
No, certainly not, Mr. Storman. You will stay on at the bungalow, unless a change is found imperative, until after the inquiry. I assure you that apart from the natural strain of waiting, there will be very little unpleasantness from our part.
Thank you, Inspector.
Now I must say good night. I will give instructions for the taking of photographs in Mr. Creed's room and the removal of the body. Good night, gentlemen. And Miss Thurston.
Good night.
We'll send Lopez with the cameras. He knows what to do.
Si, senor.
And we'll have the men relieve in the morning.
What's the matter with him?
Nothing, just attack of nerves.
Any mail?
Over there. What have you got there, Larry?
Come and take a look at this, Mark. It's a scrap of paper that makes you a rich man.
So it's come, has it?
Yes, the Tambunzeri goldfield belongs to you, Tubby, and me, and Martin's ghost. Here's a receipt for the gold. £8,000 in the bank.
In your name?
Well?
Why aren't our names on it, too?
Good Lord, you don't think...
I don't know what to think.
Well, that's a pretty rotten thing to say, Mark, after all we've been through.
It's all we've been through that's made me like this. I don't know whom I can trust. What's happening to us, Larry? What's wrong?
I'll tell you what's wrong. It's the gold. It's blood money. Martin alive wouldn't let us have it, and Martin dead isn't going to either.
You're raving, Tubby. You forget there's one subject that's taboo around here.
What's our taboo matter? It's Martin's that counts. We thought we were clever. We thought that with Martin dead he'd be done for. But he's more alive now than he ever was.
Has he been drinking?
You know it's not that, and you know it's not the sun. You're afraid to face what it really is. Look at Mark, frightened to death of anything I might say. Look at you, just as scared, but hiding it a bit better. And here are we, three people who are once friends, mark you, and now rapidly becoming each other's worst enemies. You're afraid of me because while I'm alive, you may be hanged. And I'm afraid of you for the same reason. While we're all free, we're all in danger.
While you're free, we're all in danger. You better step out of these hysterics mighty quick before somebody comes back and sees you.
I don't care who sees me. Larry, you've got to revoke our agreement. You've got to make the man who killed Martin give himself up.
Oh? Well, what's Mark got to say to that?
After all, it's fair. We drew for it. It isn't my fault I didn't draw the ace, and I'm damned if I'm going to suffer for it.
But you don't see why Mark or I shouldn't. We all agreed that Martin was for the high jump, and one of us saw that he got it. It's just possible he might get away with it. And you're not going to spoil his chance just because you've turned yellow.
You've been waiting for that. You're the one that's yellow. You're clever, but I know. You got out into this so that you could kill Martin without being caught. You wanted him dead because you wanted his mistress. Hell!
Larry! Hello, Joan. What's happened at the inquest?
I don't know. There was a short adjournment.
Never before have I watched time pass and been unable to fill it in. Just watching the hands go round. I'd go out and walk. I'd ride. I'd do anything. But what's the good? You're trailed all the time by this infernal piece.
Take it easy, or you'll get like Tubby.
What's the matter with Tubby?
Oh, just an attack of nerves, but he's got to step out of it.
I wish I had your nerve.
If you knew how I really feel, you wouldn't say that.
Tubby!
Don't move. I'm glad you're here, Joan. It makes it easier for me. Now perhaps we can find out who murdered Martin. You, Joan? Or you and Larry? Or Larry alone? Or was it Mark? You've got 10 seconds to decide. Well, come on, Joan, it's up to you. You say you're fond of Larry?
Shut up, Tubby!
Make Mark show his hand. Well, you going to tell me?
I'll see you swing before I open my mouth.
Oh, no. No one's going to see me swing. That's why someone's going to own up. And you, Mark, haven't you got something to say to me?
Not a thing.
What about you two? Don't you know the game's up?
How far do you think this is going to take you?
All the way to London. Well, all right then. Have it your own way.
What are you going to do?
Telephone the police and let them know where they can lay their hands on the murderer. Come on, give me the police. Here's headquarters. Mark.
It's the inspector and Dr. Thurston.
Oh, wait. Never mind that call.
Listen, Tubby. You wanted to have our agreement revoked, didn't you? All right, from now on, every man for himself. If I'm accused of the murder, you can use everything in your power to get me hanged. And that goes for Mark, too. But all I ask is that you wait for the verdict. You can't lose anything. You've got to wait, Tubby. You've got to.
All right. Well, what's happened?
My dear. Well, it's all over.
Did they bring in a verdict?
Yes. Actually, I will tell you.
Mr. Creek commits suicide while of unsound mind.
And there were no second inquiry.
No. The court is quite satisfied. I came to ask you to forgive me for the inconvenience I caused.
You've been most considerate.
Now, I take my leave. I think perhaps you prefer to be alone. Goodbye, Doctor. I hope to see you before you leave Venezuela.
Goodbye, Inspector.
Goodbye.
Martin didn't commit suicide. You know he didn't. We all know it.
Oh? Then how do you explain this? It was found on Martin's desk that night.
Thurston, I can't face it. I can't face it. Martin. Yes, but what's it mean?
The jury decided that it meant suicide. They had to after I told them what I know.
I don't understand, Doctor.
That note was addressed to me. I knew what it was that Martin couldn't face. And now that it's all over, well, I can tell you. You may not remember, but that night, when you boys were playing cards in there, drawing for the ace of spades, Martin sent for me and asked me to examine him. Well, I went and I examined him very thoroughly. And I came to the conclusion that he wasn't imagining things. In fact, he was suffering from a disease known as sarcoma.
Oh, what's that?
Oh, it entails a ghastly operation without any real hope of recovery.
And you told him?
Well, he saw by my face there was something seriously the matter, and in the end, he got the truth out of me. That's why Martin shot himself.
Then it was suicide.
Yes.
That lets us out, then.
Well, I'm going to have a drink.
Doctor,
Yes?
that night, how did you know that we were drawing for the ace of spades?
You fellas are not very good conspirators, you know. You're too noisy. If you remember, I was on the veranda playing patience.
I see. But Martin didn't really have sarcoma, did he?
Why, of course he did. I just told you.
Your
What
story might have been convincing to the others, but it didn't convince me.
I see it didn't. No, he didn't have sarcoma.
And you didn't tell him he had it.
You know too much, Larry.
Why did you do it?
I'm Joan's father, and I discovered... Besides, I'm very fond of you, Larry. And I didn't want to see the boys take unnecessary risks.
But it was our job. We drew for it.
No, you didn't. You thought you did.
So you had the ace of spades.
I overheard your scheme and took it out. You can put it back in the green pack now. It's taken its trick,